It's not quite an emergency view from the Ninian, but it feels frenetic in the studio as Ben Price, Tom Phillips join me for a kind of pre-season looking ahead at the next few weeks podcast. Ben Price, what's going on, mate? You've been on holiday. Tell everyone how was your holiday.
I went to Dubrovnik, St. Thomas before we started. Got greeted by the Airbnb host. He asked where we were from. He was very Croatian. I said from Wales, and he dropped in a textbook Yaki Dar, which really surprised me. And then leaving a beach bar, bumped into someone from Brecon, which is possibly the most Wales thing to have ever happened.
You're never too far away from a Welshman, are you? Wherever you go. And Tom, you would know this.
Welshman, but someone you know and you've been to a festival with, and you randomly bump into him. That was really funny.
Tom, bumped into any Welsh people recently?
Well, I famously went to Brisbane to watch No Welshman. I've been watching the British and Irish Lions. So, like tens of thousands of Welsh people, it felt like, saying Los Shemai's knocking about Brisbane. But yeah, watching a lot of people talking about Wendy Ball and all that for 4 days. So good to be back.
How was the egg? They won, didn't they?
They did win the egg, and I must admit, I cared less and less as the game went on, with there being no Welshman, and half of me wanted the Wallabies to come back into it, which I didn't know I'd feel like that until I was there. So it should be interesting when I go to the other two tests.
Well, you can talk about the Lions, you can talk about Dubrovnik, but there's one topic of conversation that's kind of dominating the Cardiff City Twitter sphere at the moment, and that is my sticker opening. I don't know if you've been on our TikTok, tiktok.com/VFT Ninian. I've opened some cracking stickers. This is probably the best one. The King of Spain, Simon Lappin. Do you know why he's called the King of Spain, Ben?
Because he looks a bit Spanish.
Because he looks Spanish. That's the chant. Simon Lappin, King of Spain, he looks Spanish. That's one of my favourite football chants of all time. But no, seriously, tiktok.com/VFT Ninian. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe to our channel, all that good stuff. Right, the takeover, the break's over. ROC, me, Jehovah. I mean, the last few weeks, it's kind of getting more and more. It's like a freight train that doesn't seem to be slowing down, Ben Price, isn't it? Something is happening. People aren't quite sure what, but there is something happening.
Yeah, there's a big groundswell of just news and bullshit flying everywhere. In that the crumbs of truth are slowly pouring out. But I'm getting very excited, but I don't know what I'm getting excited over. But it feels significant. It's a really weird, really weird sort of time. Everyone's sort of excited, but we don't know what we're excited about and what's to come. It's exciting but nerving. I think unnerving, is the way to go on this.
Yeah, I mean, look, we don't know anything that other people don't know. I think a lot of people who listen to us and watch us would have listened to Simon on Acecast and Cardiff City World, who's doing an ace job with this. Pardon the pun. And I know he's done a YouTube live. This is coming out Monday morning. He did a YouTube live last night that a lot of people listened to. And I think all we can add to this really is that a lot of the information that he's been getting has been coming to us as well. By some means, I don't know who the person is. I don't know where it's exactly coming from, but there's information that has been coming to us. And like Tom, we've never claimed to be in the know, have we? We'll never say that we know everything that other people do. But for this, the fact that we know some of the same things that people are talking about elsewhere and people are corroborating elsewhere suggests that the wheels are turning in the right direction.
Yeah, it feels like the jigsaw pieces are falling into place a little bit now. Like we've been hearing murmurings, and there's a lot of kind of I think red herrings early doors, things that weren't true, but now, like you said, different outlets are saying different things, and I think that's why people are starting to get excited, because it's starting to seep through. We're starting to get a bit of consistency, and the club, they're known for being quite quiet, but they're very, very quiet at the moment, which makes me think that there is something kind of trundling on in the background. So it's quite nice that they're tight-lipped about it as well, and there isn't loads and loads coming out, and we're just getting little bits of it. But it's enough for us to get excited going into this new season, because outside of that stuff, not a lot has been going on. So at least it's something we can be positive about.
Ben, let's talk about the club. Obviously, the very early murmurings of a takeover involved Gareth Bale. There was a letter of intent that they wanted to put a bid in. The trust kind of put out a statement kind of on behalf of the club, kind of rubbishing that rumor. I know there's been less on the record about the other bids because, I think what we have to be clear about here is that Gareth Bale is one consortium. There's talk that there's 2 or 3 consortiums, and the consortium that are leading the way, no one's quite sure who's involved and what the makeup is, but it certainly seems different to the Bale one. We don't know if Bale's involved somewhere along the lines. Again, it's that's one of the things that isn't as clear. But the club was so quick to kind of rubbish that early Bale stuff, but they're not at the moment. And even the trust have kind of said in the last week that they're trying to get some kind of clarity on the record from it. The club are declining to comment to journalists. They're declining to comment to the trust now. That feels more significant than the rumours, doesn't it?
Yeah, they're very quick to shut down stuff that's sort of being pushed out there by Gareth Bale because it's not as far as long. But then they're going, but what about this one? And they're going, that's when you know something's happening. Yeah. There's more to this than meets the eye. And it seems to be a lot further, well, not a lot further, but further along than sort of where the stuff was with Bale. I think Bale's stuff, and it's a really nice idea that Gareth Bale sort of being involved with Cardiff City and all of that. But I think any change right now is welcome. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter who it is in a way, but like for the most part, if it seems like it's the right person, they're the right fit, and they're willing to take the club on, I think they need to be encouraged and welcomed, even if they don't have the superstar name of Gareth Bale. But the club just not comment on this, I think, gets me really excited. But it does make me concerned that if they're not speaking about that, when are we going to get a next Carabao advert as well?
Have they posted any Carabao adverts in the last week?
Worryingly, their last Carabao advert was 3 days ago, and that feels like a long time.
They're going to post the Carabao advert tomorrow, and they're going to send the Cardiff City fans crackers. It's going to be crazy when they post that advert. Tom, as a man who's worked within the club, get in their mind's eye, get in the mind of the comms team, get in the mind of the club. What are they going to be thinking now? There's lots of rumours flying around. Nothing kind of on the record. The Bale stuff has kind of been and gone to an extent. Are they going to be panicking? What are they going to be thinking?
I won't be panicking, but it's a kind of you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's like fans will want news off them. They can't give them that news. They'll want to give news and stuff as well. But often people within the club won't know what's going on themselves either. It doesn't necessarily sleep down to the comms department. So, obviously, I'm not going to overstate my role there. I was an intern there for 3 or 4 seasons in the end. But you do see stuff. You do see Ken True knocking on the office and stuff like that. But when there is stuff
offering you the manager's position,
it did happen, and I didn't turn it down. But I've never been sacked from that actually. So there we go. Perhaps I'm actually Cardiff City's longest serving manager. But if Ken True wants people to know what's going on around the office, he makes it well known that what he's thinking. But in something like this, especially when the big dogs of the club aren't necessarily hanging around the office that much, they're not really seen around the stadium. I wouldn't be surprised if there's people there who know just as little as we do about this as well. So it'd be really interesting to see what happens over the next couple of weeks. Will we see a flurry of comms from the club? I don't know.
I've just realised Ben's in a Wales shirt, Tom, you're not in a Cardiff shirt. What an absolute failure of a Cardiff City podcast.
This is the first time I've done this, though, to be fair.
I'm the one that's right. I've done Inter Miami. I've done a South Korea shirt a couple of times. Yeah, I'm bad for it, but yeah.
That's just an aside. That's just an aside. I would wager
back in Rochester ones coming out in a few weeks. That's some new ones that I'll be plugging on the podcast.
Plug those. I would wager, Tom, that we probably know more than some of the people at the club at the moment with the information that's been coming out of things. I know, from speaking to people at the club, that information filters down very slowly. And I suppose, Ben, if the big dogs are away, because I think what a lot of people probably don't realise is how cloak and dagger a lot of these things are when they're going on. Because I work in a company that has board, CEO, and it has a kind of different structure than it does to a traditional company. And we hear about things, even comms team, I'm meant to be leading on comms for things. I hear about a week before it's meant to go out. It's going to be similar in this organisation, isn't it, Ben? Because the powers that be are Malaysia, Dalman's in Monaco, Chu's in London a lot of the time. They're so far removed from the club anyway, that when those decisions are being made, they're being made away from the main team.
Yeah, my job, I had to put a statement out the other day that I didn't realise there was a management change I work for like a global company, and there was a decision made out in Spain that affected the UK and who's head of the UK. And I didn't realize that wasn't communicated to anyone until I put the update up on the website, and then sort of read it, went, oh, that's quite significant, that. So it sort of shows how these things work. They're just going to let people in the club know what they need to know. And some of the people within the club aren't going to care either way. There's going to be people there that care and sort of really interested in football fans and really want to know the ins and outs. And there's also going to be a lot of people that work in the club shop or work in like the canteen or whatever that couldn't give a shit, and they're not going to know, and they're not going to prod and find out. So it's the club are bad at communicating to fans and staff at the best of times. When they're sort of legally obliged to not say anything, they're going to put as little out as possible.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, look, I can talk you through the time frames of how these things has come to us and how we've heard about it. And again, we don't put. I've once been accused of hiding something that I was told on behalf. Like I got told about the Jack Simpson racism stuff before it happened, and someone then, when it came out, and I said, "Oh, I heard about this," and when it went to come out, they accused me of running interference for the football club. And that's not the case. We just don't talk about stuff because we're three idiots with a podcast and we don't know how to corroborate things. We're not journalists. So we hear of things and we don't really think anything too much of it. But now, because there are people talking about this so publicly, Simon on Cardiff City World, Tony Rivers, obviously on Twitter, they're the best people to follow on this because they're effectively saying the stuff that we're hearing behind the scenes as well. And all power to them posting it because they're doing a great job of keeping the fans informed. And I do think they're being accurate with what's being told. But I've got a friend who sent me the details. Kind of that there was conversations ongoing from the end of May, basically, and obviously the contact goes back a lot further than that. And I think when those rumblings started, it was kind of like a throwaway thing because it's kind of like, well, Tan's not going to accept it. Tan is probably going to overprice the club and all that kind of stuff. But as the time has got on, the conversation has become a lot more focused and a lot more concrete. That makes me think that there is absolutely something going on here. And I think a lot of what has been posted in public around the badge, around the fact that we're going to get rid of the red seats, around all the easy wins, that stuff feels very accurate to me because that's the stuff I've been told. It's the stuff that Simon has been told and being public about. It's even the stuff that Anis is being public about. And I think we're not here to say that we knew about this before anybody else. We're not here to kind of poo-poo other people's information. But the fact that all this information seems to be coming from the same source, tonally, the messages that people are being sent, the language that's being used is the same as the stuff that we're being sent. It all seems to come from this one source who's very knowledgeable and knows what's going on. And that, Tom, just makes me think that this is getting to a point where it's going to come to a head.
For sure. I think like the build-up, like people are getting more confident in what they're tweeting before, when it was a lot cryptic stuff. And
100%.
Yeah. And now I think there's going to be almost a race to be the one who puts it out there first, because people are getting more and more confident in what they're hearing. And that's not going to be us, because like you said, we're three idiots who don't know what they're doing. But I am a qualified journalist, so I take that comment back. I've done nothing with it, to be fair. But I think over the next couple of weeks, it'll be really interesting because you'll start having people doing like emojis hinting at it. We've already had pictures of the Simpsons and stuff floated out. And it's going to be absolutely relentless over the next few weeks now. And all we can do is sit here, throw an emergency pod up as soon as we get something through and just enjoy the ride, because it is exciting, because we've wanted this for, a decade, longer probably. And it feels like there's substance behind this. It's not someone who's got like a little bit of money. It's someone who's got a bit of money themselves, but it sounds like there's going to be backing from other people as well. So yes, there's a bit of worry, but it's hard not to get excited because as a fan base, we've been crying out for this for such a long time.
Let's talk about that Simpsons reference, Ben, but let's talk about your reference. You posted to the esteemed Tony Rivers that it ought to come out soon. Do you want to explain your thinking behind that?
I thought it was just a good pun. I genuinely still proud of it now. I thought, the fact that no one's dropped that in yet was lovely. But yeah, it's, am I saying who it's reference to and not just Otto?
Yeah, it's Gary Otto. Gary Otto.
Yeah. The bus driver from The Simpsons is buying the club. It's amazing what selling weed to children will get you in America.
Allegedly.
I'm not even alleging that. He definitely hasn't done that. There's no allegedly with it.
No, I was going to say, because like The Simpsons is so green that you couldn't have sold weed to kids. Like allegedly, it's a cartoon character as well. No, but I mean, oh yeah, okay. Carry on.
But yeah, the it's coming out that it seems to be that guy, Consortium led by him, that's got friends that Cy on Ace Podcast Nation stream classified them as absolutely caked. I don't know what that means, but I like the reference.
All I've got is that there is at least one Chinese billionaire within the consortium. Now, those guys have a lot of money. I literally searched Chinese billionaires, and it was like, who could it be?
I think most billionaires have a lot of money, to be fair to them.
I just meant like, at least $1 billion, right? At least $1 billion money. I just kind of meant like Vincent Tan, when he came to us, we thought, oh God, he's caked. That guy has bags. But like the guys that are being mentioned in relation to this have bags on bags on bags.
Yeah, it's another step up in wealth, isn't it? Like, don't get it wrong, Vincent Tan isn't like sort of skint and pleading.
He's
poverty.
not rubbing pennies together, is he?
No, even after COVID, he's still doing all right for himself, to be fair. But yeah, these guys, from what we're hearing, it's if done right, and if sort of, it's not sort of, I don't know, it's similar sort of money to the people sort of around Birmingham, but I don't think they've got quite as ambitious plans and sort of throwing it in there. But yeah, there's lots of money involved in this consortium. It's quite exciting. There's difficulties because obviously there's involvements. He's with Sutton currently. There's shares and sort of complications with the stuff with Sutton United and whether that affects them because they're no longer in the EFL or whatever. But it's a really interesting thing that they've he's had a project before, got success there. Okay, it was just getting them into the Football League and they got relegated after a season, but he knows football. It's not sort of like someone like Vincent Tan when he came in, had no clue and sort of made a complete arse of it. There's a bit of success there, and there are downsides. He did employ Steve Morrison, for example. So you can't have everything.
Do you reckon he went, Steve, what's Cardiff like? And Steve Morrison went, all the youngsters are shit. You want to bench them all?
Yeah, he probably he's still ranting and slagging us off now. Yeah, he's just like, he hung up. The phone call ended ages ago, but there's still just WhatsApp messages constantly flying in, just slinging shit about us. But yeah, look, it's a really exciting time for this, and it's a very, very interesting development. And let's be honest, he's not the only one interested, but he seems to be the forerunner. There seems to be more than the one party, which is an interesting twist that I didn't see coming.
Apparently, the Sutton stuff is all taken care of, so it's not going to cause any issues at this stage. I think he might have sold up his shares or something like that. And I think that's what we have to consider, right? Is that if you believe the reports and if you believe what's being said, Tom, this has been going on for since before Christmas, almost at least 6 months, which suggests that everything that needs to happen has probably happened in a sense of due process. They've probably looked at the books, they've probably done all the legalese and done all that kind of stuff. And if they were going to pull out, they would have pulled out by now. The fact that it has been going on for 6 months, Tom, is just a really positive sign, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I always believed there was like takeover stuff in the offing, but I just didn't think it'd be this far down the line because it's not something you wing, is it? Taking over a football club at this level. So yeah, there's just so much concrete stuff coming out now. The fact that they have been in and around since before Christmas, and they're probably rubbing their hands together a little bit with us being relegated in a way because it just makes it cheaper.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just like we're now a fan base who are crying out for any sort of change and some sort of success and stuff. And it's just like feeds into this like wider just interest in the Welsh teams in the English setup now. It's just adding to this circus and madness. And we're probably benefiting from it.
It's all gone really weird, hasn't it?
Like even Newport have got a good jersey out now with Athletic Bilbao. It's mad, really, the interest in it, and that might even work in our favour. Because I went to the Wrexham game out in Melbourne like 2 weeks ago, and there's 300 people queuing up for a photo with a bloke who owns a pub, and it's just like it's gone nuts. Like fair play to Wayne for that, you know, cash in, but like it's just. Football has gone weird, and there's a different type of like businessmen who seem to be trying to take over clubs and stuff at the moment. And it feels like we're the latest in the line of that. And like you said, yeah, it's just exciting that it does seem to be quite concrete, quite far down the line, and hopefully something isn't far off. It's hard to tell, but it could be weeks away, which is madness.
I think the stuff I've been told and the stuff that other people have been told makes it feel like that something is going to come out soon. I don't think there's an idea of kind of timeframes for kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Completing all the due process, completing the actual takeover and the change of handling and all that kind of stuff. But there feels like, from what other people have been saying, from what Si's been saying, that something is going to come to a head soon, because it has to. I think ultimately, as a fan base, we need clarity. And we'll talk about transfers. I think, you know, there's a complete lack of activity on the transfer front. There are constant rumours about players who are waiting to sign, who players that Brian Barry Murphy, sorry. That's the first time I've got his name wrong unintentionally, has been lining up players to come in, but they're waiting because of whatever's going on. It feels like if that is the case, then something is going to have to come out soon to clarify for everyone, because we're 2 weeks away, really, from the season starting. In 2 weeks' time, we'll have played Peterborough. And if there is this groundswell of excitement, Ben, the club is going to want to take advantage of it. If there are complications that need ironing out, which means we can't sign players or something else needs to happen before we can sign players, again, fans are going to need clarity, aren't they?
Yeah, look, there's a real chance of goodwill being built up at the club again, excitement being drawn up just as the season's kicking off. That are really sort of, I think, especially this year now, we need to get off to a good start. I think we've got into this habit over the last 5 years, really, of starting seasons poorly and just getting into just the habit. We're not in the habit of winning, and we need that excitement. We need some sort of excitement to get the fans going, because sort of at the moment, everyone's going into the season going, oh, here we go again, sort of thing. Even in League One, it's still feeling like that. The lack of transfer activity sort of makes you a bit nervous. It's good that we've kept hold of a lot of boys, but the lack of incomings, it's still a squad that made us finish bottom of the Championship last year. So, yeah, just any goodwill they can get that way would be massive. Do you know I feel sorry for in all of this is Glenn? Because he's like the actual journalist. I can't do this. He's the one that will corroborate everything. I've sort of all his facts lined up and stuff. And when he comes out with the stuff and he's allowed to tell the full story, it'd be very interesting to hear what comes out from that. But yeah, at the moment,
Glenn,
he's sitting there
if you are listening, you can come on this podcast and tell the whole story.
Well, if you mean get him on for ages, but yeah.
It hasn't worked out yet. Carry on.
He'll probably do it in his job, which actually pays him. But
we could pay him
20 quid.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah.
20
quid. Ryan March, please pay us. I was going to say something then, Tom. That's the thing, isn't it? The silence from the journalists. I know Cardiff has been in a historical place of, you know, when we signed Bobby Deck over Reed, the Glenn and the BBC were able to break it about 10 minutes before the club did. When we signed, I don't think Glenn was working then, but the Wales Online broke it about 10 minutes before the club did. When this breaks, there is going to be an absolute cavalcade of information, isn't there? Because there's going to be so much stuff to pick up. How overwhelming do you think that will be for a starved fan base that is Cardiff City?
It's going to be absolute chaos. I think, like, at the moment, I'm really trying not to go down like rabbit holes and just wells looking for information and learning, you know, Gary Otto's Wikipedia page back to front and things like that. I just, because I know I'm going to be doing this in a few weeks' time anyway. So I'm trying to give myself a little bit of a break from it. But it's just really hard not to just get carried away. But when it does start to come out, when there's like the first just nugget of like official information that comes through, I think like the Cardiff City Twitter is going to go absolutely just into meltdown. But like, I think it'll be a good thing, because it should be a wave of positive. It should be a wave of positivity. The one thing we don't know is we don't know who are in these consortiums. We don't know who the backers and stuff are. And, you know, there could be some unsavory characters. You don't really know, right? But in reality, it should be good news for us. So, yeah, I'm holding off, waiting for it, and then I'm going to get well and truly carried away with a wave of excitement with everyone else when it comes through.
I mean, you're saying that, but given some of the people we've had run this club over the last 125 years, they'll have to be really fucking shady for us to go, hang on, mate, this might be a bit too far. The bar's not that high.
Yeah,
The bar's really low.
Let's touch upon Gareth Bale, and then we'll get into the Twitter questions, because we've got to keep it light tonight. While, you know, it's very early in the morning for Tom. Tom, it feels like the Gareth Bale consortium, it got everyone excited. It was doomed to fail from the start, wasn't it?
It did feel like it. Like, the reality of it as well, right? He's not going to be a major. He's the face of it anyway.
Yeah,
he's the feel good factor And by God, it's a great feel-good factor. It's the perfect one, really, for a Cardiff City fan base. But it wouldn't have changed the day-to-day. You know, he wouldn't have been there running things. So I think that when you take a step back away from it emotionally, it doesn't really matter if it's that consortium or a different one. It's got to be the one that's best for the club in terms of, you know, the money's there, the plan is there, and things like that. So I'd be gutted. I'd love to have Gareth Bale knocking about, just even if he turns up for 1 or 2 games a season, standing on the side of the pitch with a scarf. You know, that's all we wanted as a fan base. We thought we might get it as a player. I'd 100% take it as a part owner. But, you know, if that's not the one that comes through, then so be it. Like we said earlier on, like, we want a change. We want a stable change, something that's good for the running of the club. And yeah, if it's not Gaza, then fine.
Do we call him Gaza?
I did now. Don't know why I did it.
I'd have Gaza. Can you imagine Paul Gascoigne doing this? That'd be a laugh.
Yeah. Who knows?
My whole feeling on the Bale stuff is that it feels like they knew they never really had a chance. And I mean that from a logistical point of view in terms of getting a bid through and giving a valuation that Tam wanted, which is why they ramped up the kind of public relations stuff so quickly. I think they probably got wind of things. You know, the first consortium, they were a few weeks behind the curve when it came to the consortiums, as far as I understand it, which meant that any bid they put in was behind other people's. And if you got the consortium that are effectively 4 or 5 months ahead of you, who are doing the due diligence and going through the books, then they're best place to complete the takeover. If you're coming in a couple of months down the line and going, we want this club, and you're saying it publicly, that's not going to curry favor with the right people. And it's going to, if you don't have the means to back it up and you don't have the means to see it through, then it's going to make you look bad anyway. So that's my feeling on that, is that, Ben, it was never realistic. But where we are now, look, we'll get into Twitter and then we'll talk about some actually on the pitch stuff. But where we are now, Ben, how do you see this playing out over the next couple of weeks? Do you think we get any information from the club, any public announcements from somebody in the next few weeks?
I think within the next 2 weeks. I think leading up maybe a couple of days after the season started, but I think they'll want to get out before the season starts. It's my gut feeling. They want that little sort of groundswell of like positivity coming out just before the season starts. It's the perfect way to keep it going before the inevitable 4-3 loss to Peterborough after being 3-0 up. So yeah, I think the next couple of weeks we'll see some progress, but look, this isn't a quick thing. Like trying to sell a house is a pain in the ass. Trying to sell a football club's even longer. So I think you might get names and stuff, and there might be a bit of involvement in the next couple of weeks, but nothing's good. Like, and Tan and Co aren't going to be gone this year. I think it'll be Christmas, January time before, at the earliest, before everything's fully signed, sealed, and delivered.
Tom, what's your view? Being in Australia, a bit ahead of the curve than us. Is there anything rumbling already?
I think they're pretty behind the curve on many things here, but let's not get into that. I'm not.
You enjoyed it over there, are you, boy?
I am, to be fair. That's why I get up at 5 a.m. to speak to you, plebs.
You can the C word then.
I did think about it. I'm not big on football takeovers, but I like Ben says, it can't be many more things that are more complex. So I think, it's not going to be fully done for a long, long time. But any sort of official information over the next few weeks will just get, you know, such a positive reaction from the fan base, even towards Tan and stuff, to be honest. Like, it'll give them a bit of breathing space as well without us like constantly berating him as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if something comes out soon. But I don't understand what can come out. I think that's the real interesting bit on this.
Well, I think the reality is
it's just confirming the rumours, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They can confirm something on the record that there is something happening, because I think that's the absence at the moment, isn't it? Is that there are lots. It feels like when Neil Harris got sacked, and I know that might sound like an odd kind of comparison, but when Neil Harris got sacked, everyone had just accepted that he was gone about a week before he went, and people drove themselves mad. And that's the stage we're at the moment, because everyone knows something is happening, or everyone thinks that something is happening. You know, you don't know for certain, but everyone has that belief that something is happening and that this is actually happening and that there is a takeover going on. but because there's nothing on the record, people are just clinging on to everything. And I think that's where crossed wires are coming in. That's where there's confusion coming in, because people are saying one thing. Some people are like chasing down other South African billionaires and looking at different people and different names. And people are just kind of making up their own narratives. And I think that's what the club just needs to clear up, is that there is an interested party. It's being led by this person and talks are ongoing. Something more will come soon. That's, I think, what all people need at a very basic. And if it is impacting transfers, or if it has a wider effect on how the club is being run and governed at the moment, then they probably need to say something to that as well. But at the very least, something needs to be confirmed over the next few weeks. Otherwise, I think we'll get to the start of the season. It's going to be like a powder keg. Port Vale's not going to know what's hit it on Thursday night as 2,000 Cardiff fans cock a hoop on takeover rumours descend on Port Vale's, what's their ground called? Boundary Park? Have I got that wrong?
That's old, isn't it?
That might be old.
Isn't it?
Look. Vale Park.
Vale Park, yeah.
I was going to say, I doubt
I
it
used to say
myself,
Vale
man.
Park. I battled it.
Yeah,
Don't worry. We'll learn all about League One over the next few weeks. Let's go to Twitter. Mark Carter. Well, the biggest question of this week is obviously Stingray or plastic bag. Ben, that's obviously from the Spanish Inquisition video by the Cardiff City media team. Ryan Wintle didn't cover himself in any glory there, did he?
No. Yeah, that was outstanding content. Just it couldn't have been more. The only way it could have been funnier is if Ollie Tanner said it with his with his accent. It was just unbelievably
Accent and
stupid.
slight lisp.
Yeah, it was just unbelievably good. Oh my god, it's that look at the size of that Stingray. Oh no, wait, it's a carrier bag in it.
Plastic bag. Right, there's some transfer ones. So Oliver Rees, someone who hasn't got much of a mention this preseason, is Willock. I saw him play at Yeovil this past week. Didn't set the world alight. Do we think this could be him leaving or something fitness related? Personally, I feel like he should be giving him free reign in the 10 position. Alex Bennett, centre midfielders, start 3, bench 2. 2 are left out due to the matchday squad. Robertson, Colwell, King, Chambers, Wintle, Turnbull. Think that's everyone. Who are you starting, Tom, in that 3?
Oh, it's a tough one, isn't it? I think you leave out little Colwell. Big Colwell stays in for me.
Joel Will and Ruben Colwell. Joel Will leaves left out.
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying. I think while Robertson is still here, he gets in for me as well. Will he still be here in a few weeks? I doubt it, but I think for League One, he's got to be starting for me.
Ben?
Robertson, Colwell, and there's still something with Ty Turnbull for me. I think they're the 3. If you get them starting, Christ, that's a lovely attacking midfield. We had it last year a bit as well. I still think there's more to come from him. And then I think Joel Colwell and Eli King on the bench, and then the rest can go.
They can fuck off. Lee Gardner, if we don't sign anyone before, we'll talk about the transfer stuff shortly. But if we don't sign anyone before the start of the season, which is very plausible, do you think the current squad is good enough for promotion push? I personally think the defence and maybe the central midfielders need looking at expect for any departures. Utah Jazz fans, Andy, what do the others think of the old stickers? And did Tom visit Brisbane because of Bluey? Tom, what do you think of my stickers?
Good. It's nice that we're diversifying our content. And the retro stickers as well in my wheelhouse. That might even drive me to TikTok. So, yeah, I'm excited for you, Ben.
Drive you to TikTok? Tom, you have 3 accounts on TikTok.
Yeah, but I didn't know. I was driving then, forget that I'd been there.
And did you go to Brisbane because of Bluey?
I learned a lot about Bluey while there. Their boats are designed like the characters off it. But as someone without kids... no, I didn't go there for Bluey. That'd be a bit odd.
Ben Price, what do you think of my stickers?
I'm all for it. I've binge watched the episodes. The clickbait with the facial expressions for the Simon Lappin was fucking. I belly laughed.
There wasn't clickbait. The Simon Lappin was okay. I think that's the best pull we've had so far.
Which is the one with the hands on the head, like proper clickbaity, sort of in the other. That was so good. Paul Parry,
Nicky Maynard.
Nice. Yeah. Deserves it.
It's just nice. Really good stuff.
Thanks, man. I don't know where I'm going to go.
No one's been excited at Nicky Maynard being pulled for Cardiff City out of that with his 2 goals in 40 odd appearances for the club.
and a Cruciate's injury. What I am confused about on those stickers, and this is an aside, is why is there like a Birmingham player and a Cardiff player on the same stick? Like, surely they should be. It should be 2 Birmingham players or 2 Cardiff players, not one of each.
No, what
I'm going to write. I'm going to write to Panini about that.
What I'm concerned with is, like, I thought we were getting ripped off these days with the sticker packs when they're like 75p a pack or whatever they are these days. But you've opened some that are 5 stickers, some that are 4, and then one you opened those 3, and they're going, hang on, what's going on here? Because either we've spent our money on a dud, and some bloke has steamed these open, taken all the good ones out.
Well, I think some of them have been steamed open. I think the 2010 ones have been steamed open because they're really crappy. But the 2009 one was a sealed box. I wasn't to know, Ben. It's a sealed box.
I'm not saying it's you. I'm just saying.
I've just realised on the back it says 1 packet 25p 4 stickers. So that's a Ben error. That is a Ben error. Anyway, for the sticker content fan, I have ordered some Copper America stickers from Germany from 2011 and 2013 to increase my Gary Medel chance. And I have realised that in the 2009 stickers, there's a very early Aaron Gunnison sticker when he was at Coventry. So that's something we can all look
with the mullet.
With the mullet.
On that, please donate to our Ko-fi because funds are running dry because vintage stickers aren't cheap.
Don't ask me how much they were. MJCCFC, would you take a summer of very minor activity in or out and have BBM work with what we have if it means we guarantee this good-looking takeover and then go big in Jan? Yes, 100%. Tom?
I concur, yes.
Good. Ben?
Aye, go on then.
Rodri says, how are your holes? Ben, anything else about Dubrovnik?
A lot of steps. Like, I disabled access there. Like, I know it was built in really long time ago, but they really didn't think about people in wheelchairs. Fucking calves were in bits at the end of it.
James Webber, could the return of Wintle be one of our best reinforcements of the squad for the season ahead? Personally, I think everyone has forgotten how good he actually is. Also, as a previous captain, will he be renamed captain? Give us some more leadership we severely lack this season. Tom, was Wintle that good?
Are we going to do the Wintle underrated debate again?
That's what I was going to say.
Yes.
It's back. Yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm all for it. I was all aboard that train. Makes me really nostalgic, actually. So I can't wait.
Ben?
I don't think Ryan Wintle's underrated. I don't want him around the club. I'll be honest. I don't want the discourse there. I can't be asked with it. He was pants for Millwall. He was pants the last year with us as well. Before that, he had a couple of good games with Steve Morrison, and I can't be asked with that.
Sven, how many points are we getting from the opening 5 games? I look forward to Tom saying 15. Tom,
15.
Ben,
10.
I was going to go 10 as well. And then let's talk about transfers. Stephen Will asked, given the lack of transfers, assume it's due to the takeover talk, how risky is it starting the season with no reinforcements from last year's defence and a starting 11 with a combined age of 6? I think it was Lee Gardner asked the question as well around that. Look, let's talk about transfers. And Tom, I've written this, everyone is getting very animated about the lack of transfers. I'm less worried about it. What's your view on it?
I'm less worried at the moment because I think the players that have left the squad needed to go, and the ones that are hanging around are good enough to be playing for us at the moment. I think if we're still in the same situation come like Christmas time, we might be thin on the ground if there's a few injuries. That's where we might have a problem. But to be honest, I think the quality we've got in and around the squad is enough, especially for the opening few games of the season. So I'm not going to hit panic stations yet. And like you said there's so much going on around this takeover talk. There's only so much that can happen. So a couple of reinforcements in as we approach like game 4, 5, 6, I think we're looking okay.
Ben, what's your view?
I wasn't too panicked, and then I saw the preseason travelling squad out to Spain, and that laid it bare. I was going, it's not quite as deep as we thought.
It's young.
It's very it's I was going to make a really bad joke and I'm not going to.
Good.
But it's one we need bodies in. I think there's still people to go, but I mean there's people there like Jake Dennis looks good, but Matt Turner's involved, but it's just not got the depth in certain positions. Like, we're going into a league where we're sort of pushing for promotion with a defence that was horrific last season, weakened, and a lot weaker than it was when it was that bad. That's where my big worry is. I'm not too worried about going forward. I think the players, if we start the season now with the players we've got, I think we'd create stuff and we'd get goals. I'm still not convinced with that defensive setup that we've got enough there to sort of make a top 6 push. It's really, really weak.
My view on it is, if I'm being honest, is I'd rather take, if this is an enforced thing where we can't sign players, I would take the short-term pain over the long-term gain 1,000,000 times over.
Oh, yeah.
I think if we're setting the club up for the future, the lack of transfers is something that should be 9th or 10th on our list at the moment, because if the takeover is happening and if all that stuff is going ahead, then that's the priority, and whatever it takes to make that happen should happen. And I don't think we're going into a league, which if you look up and down the league, and I can't stress this enough, it is very bad. And the teams that have come down with us, people like Plymouth, have lost genuinely their better players. Their centre-half, Aaron Hockin, centre-half Maxi, who's gone to Stoke. They've lost a few players on loan out to kind of places like Qatar and all that kind of stuff. I think if we keep what we've got together, we've cried out for years to give the youth a chance, and we want the youth to be the core of our squad. And we have very talented young players in there. When you look at what the preseason squad has, people like Mafakio, who've kind of come out of nowhere, are getting games. Capaccio playing at the back. We want to see more of that kind of stuff. And I think that's the exciting thing. And I think we have an opportunity to reshape the squad in the mold of that young core that is coming through. And even if we have to put up with Callum Chambers and Darland in defence, or Will Fish, I still think Fish is future captain material along the way. It's just he needs to iron out those mistakes. It's just he hasn't had the consistency at the club yet. Darland was playing at, in the top level of Belgium. He's not a bad defender. He just had a bad start to his time at the football club. There are good players within there. I don't think our defence is as bad as people seem to be making out. And I think our central midfield is pretty good. And if we can keep Salek and Robinson up front, then we're going to be laughing. I just don't know if we can keep those players. That's what I'm worried about. I guess the question is, Tom, can we keep hold of those talented players? There's already rumours doing the rounds that Salek has attracted the attention of some bids. Robinson is attracting the attention of some bids. Sonoda's leaving, for fuck's sake. I didn't see that coming. How worried are you that we could lose some of our more talented players before the window closes?
And Sonoda.
It's an interesting one, because it will really kind of show what the club's intentions are. Like, if we hold our resolve on some of these, because the bids are going to come. And I suppose it does depend on how far we are along the lines of the takeover stuff. If we're keeping our best assets, it's kind of like part of the deal. Do you know what I mean? Like, because ideally you want to build a team around Salek. Because if you do, we should piss the league. Not piss the league, sorry, that's a bit strong. We should get an absolute hatful of goals. There's no doubt about that, if he's in and around the squad. So it's a really interesting couple of weeks, but we're bound to lose a couple of them. But I think there's enough there for us to still be fine. And perhaps the money coming in from those could completely transform the squad come January if we're in the mix.
Ben, what's your view on that?
Yeah, short term, I think it will come down to sort of what happens with this takeover and the ownership there, and just January could be huge. But yeah, like you both said, like if it's short term pain for long term game, let's do it.
Let us do it indeed. We can leave it there because Tom has to go to work. And that's just the reality of doing a podcast across continent and across the globe. Look, we're going to be getting into the more rhythm of the new season. We're a couple of weeks away from the new season. Next week will be our season preview. Ben Price.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It is too. I keep on forgetting that it's close the season is. Yeah.
We're going to do our predictions, our table predictions, which everyone looks forward to, and we always get it wrong. We'll look ahead to the first game of the season, and hopefully we'll have some news from the takeover. Twitter.com/VFTNinian for all your tweets, KOFI.com/VFTNinian if you want to give us money, TikTok.com/VFTNinian, YouTube, like and subscribe to the channel, more videos coming there. Ben, good night.
Night.
You struggled there, didn't you? You didn't.
I've literally just had to open the Photoshop file to do the thumbnail before I go to bed. I just remembered I hadn't done that, so I was looking at that. Going, shit, yeah.
Tom, good morning. Have a good day in work.
Thank you very much.
And we'll be back next week. See you then.